Welcome to this episode of Who's That Drummer? Today we have the great Tommy Campbell. But before we get into it, make sure to hit the red subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you're aware of every time I upload a new video. Tommy is a great friend and was also a former teacher of mine. He has played with some real legendary figures in jazz music and music overall. I sat down with him for an afternoon in July, and man, he gave me a lot of great stuff. So I had to split into 3 parts because it was so long. So I encourage you to watch each and every part of my hang with him. All right, so sit back, relax, and enjoy Tommy Campbell. Welcome, Tommy, to Aubrey Drum Lessons.
My pleasure. Great to be with you, Aubrey. We go way back, bro. What can I say, man? Happy that we're here talking about what we love.
Absolutely. So let's go back to the early days.
1957?
Sorry?
1957?
1957. Well, yeah, we can start there. You can start there. 20th century. That's back in the 20th century. Yeah, so you were born in Norristown, Pennsylvania. Yeah, and
Tommy Lasorda, of course, Chaco,
right.
And Mike Piazza.
Mike Piazza. I didn't know that.
All from Norristown.
So this what's it? Something about the water, or what's going on there?
I don't know. I could have played baseball.
You could have played baseball, yeah. So I've got to start with this. It turns out that your dad was a musician, right? And so in your really early days in Norristown, did he influence you playing music, or did that come from other sources? Like, I'm talking like pre-teen, like when you're like between 0 and 10.
No, he did. One thing is that when I was 2 years old, we moved into a new neighborhood in a county, Montgomery County. It was called Willow Grove, Pennsylvania.
Oh, okay.
Where there was a famous amusement park called Willow Grove Park.
Oh, okay.
So I really grew up. I was born in Norristown, but I grew up in Willow Grove.
In Willow Grove, which is close to it, or how far away from Norristown is that?
10 minutes.
So it's the same suburban area.
Yeah.
Right. So, so growing up there, did you have extremely early musical influences at that time in that area, or not so much?
The area was really just my family alone. You know, my dad, who was first of all, my Aunt Nita, Uncle Jimmy's sister, recently reminded me that my dad used to repair organs. You know, that's how my dad and Uncle Jimmy got together.
Just a side note, I was going to get to this, but so far Tommy has referenced a Uncle Jimmy about 2 or 3 times. Just so you know, he's referring to Jimmy Smith, the famous organist. So it's not just Uncle Jimmy. The way he says, like, yeah, you know, my Uncle Leroy, you know. No, it's Jimmy Smith, just so you know. You check out any of those records, folks. You'll understand what we're talking about. That was Tommy's uncle. So go ahead, Uncle Jimmy. You learned that his sister?
Yeah, his sister she just passed away like 4 months ago.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. Oh.
And she reminded me that Dad used to repair organs.
Wow.
But my father, he was in the Navy, and he played football and
high-level football too, right?
Yeah. Supposedly, I don't have a photo. Mm-hmm. He did play for the Eagles. I don't know if he made it to. He was definitely in preseason.
Right.
He did not. I don't know. He probably didn't make the team for the season, something like that.
But that's pretty high up there.
I do remember seeing a photo of him on the Eagles squad.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's something.
Yeah. He was basically in music on the music side, repaired organs, but he also played a Hammond. I believe it was an M3.
Okay.
And he would travel. And he sang. So all he needed was a drummer, and away we go.
Wow.
He did all the hotel type gigs. Club dates.
Right.
That was him. He never. Oh, he did play with Bull Moose Jackson.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
For a minute. That was probably his biggest claim to fame.
Right. Amazing.
Yeah.
But he didn't teach you directly though, or did he?
Nope. But his drummers would come over and rehearse.
Aha.
We had an organ. He had his organ at our house.
That's all right. Yeah, right.
We had an organ and a piano actually at the house, and the drummers would come over and rehearse. I was like 2, 3, 4.
Wow.
And I remember, sometimes choking the drummer cymbals,
Oh yeah, check out the hi-hats and wow.
Yeah. I believe either my mother or my father, or both, bought me a snare drum when I was 10.
Okay.
My dad also, my dad and my mother separated, and then shortly after divorce when I was 10. So he was out of the house when I was 10.
Okay.
But I did get this old field type snare drum. I believe my father had something to do with it. My mother had everything to do with everything.
Yeah.
How moms are. It's amazing, man. Dad, he comes to home, he might be full, he might whip your butt with his belt, you know what I mean?
Right.
He might take you to the park. Mom was something. No, mom feeds you, kiss you on the head.
All that. Tape at night, everything.
Make sure your eyelashes are starched.
Right. Come on. Yeah. Stop it. Stop. Get away from me.
So I was around it definitely, and then my mom, she took me. This is major musically, and I hate to sound too corny, but here we go, man.
Okay.
My favorite musical to this day,
right,
is The Sound of Music.
Oh yeah, that's great. For sure.
And my mom, that was the first big screen movie we went to see.
Wow.
With my cousin, and I was blown away, and then I got the diatonic lesson.
The classic.
Yeah,
dear.
When I went to Berklee, I was like,
you had that.
I just skipped through Harmony 1. Like, what?
Come on.
I practice more,
Yeah. You got that lesson. Yeah. So talk to me more about Uncle Jimmy. Like I hear he used to, or I read that he used to come over with new releases, and so the whole family get the release, and you guys would listen to it together, and you would sing, play along with them sometimes, or?
Oh no, we were 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Yeah.
10 in there, and he would come over, bring. First of all, he'd show up with either a Jaguar. This is when he jumped from Blue Note Records to Verve. And man, he had a Jag, just like 1963. Come over with a black Jag, which is on one of his album covers.
Okay.
Yeah, he also had a Mercedes with a TV in the back also.
Had to have a TV.
No, ESPN wasn't on then, I'll tell you that.
That's right.
But he would come over, I mean, sometimes right from the studio,
Amazing.
Come over, he loved my mom, and
So was he your mom's brother or your dad's brother?
No, he's on my mom's side, but distant, blood related, distant. And because my mom is gone and my sister is gone, they were the family tree authorities.
Okay.
And so they would just point and say, "That's your cousin, that's your uncle."
Look you up, yeah. I know. I'm the same as you. They just tell me what's going on. I'm like, oh, really? Okay, right. Yeah.
You know, so and he's your cousin, but he's a play cousin. He's your cousin. He's your real cousin.
Right.
Play Uncle Bob, Uncle Joe,
right.
Uncle Joe. He's your real.
Oh, okay.
So he would come over with a reel-to-reel, stand it up, you know, put it together. You know, we all sit around and listen to the CD. One was got my mojo working. That's probably the CD that we remember.
No, CD. You sure it was a CD?
Heyday. I know all the solos.
Like that? Wow.
Yeah.
So now, Tommy, you just mentioned a CD. You sure it was a CD?
A CD. I'm sorry. I purposely take LPs out of my vocabulary, man. Because it's so embarrassing, right?
I know, right? When you say record, they're like, what?
Yeah,
Record?
I mean, right away you feel like, you know.
Yeah, right.
I start with CDs. I don't say cassettes or, you know.
Right.
Of course, it was I started buying LP.
Yeah, naturally, yeah.
And let's see, back in the Chicken Shack, of course. Most of the recordings that had Oliver Nelson arranging, you know.
Oh, okay.
He did a Christmas '64. Back then, it was called Christmas '64.
Right.
He did, you know, Christmas carols, you know, jazz stuff with killing, you know, Grady Tate and Kenny Burrell, you know.
Wow. Yeah, of course.
Great musicians and Oliver Nelson arranging, you know.
Incredible. You just brought them in your house and said, hey, look what I did today.
Yeah.
Oh, man. That is remarkable. Remarkable.
Yeah.
So like, Ken, you said you grew up in the suburbs.
Yeah.
Now, did you?
Thank God.
Right. Like, ooh, you're like me. So did I. I know the feeling. Big difference, huh? Especially when the U.S. man, it was tough for y'all. Yeah. So did you get to Philadelphia a lot, or were you more influenced? Like when you started to play, for instance, did you play more in the suburbs, or did you get into town sometimes?
Suburbs.
Mostly out there. What kind of music were you playing at that time?
Started with rock, Black Sabbath, Jethro Tull, yes, King Crimson.
There you go. Yeah.
Todd Rundgren, you know, Chicago.
Right.
Yeah, that was my first band was called. It wasn't my band. It was David Ball and Keith Hunter's band, basically.
Wait a minute, Screech. So you mentioned a certain Keith Hunter, who I know was a friend of yours, and he is a good friend of mine. My early days in New York, I played with him, and he said, "Yeah, man, I used to play with Tommy Campbell." I was like, "What? What? yeah, I used to play with Tommy Campbell. He was amazing then." And blah blah. I was like, "Really?" So then when I finally met you, there was all this connection already, you know. So tell me about Keith and your band.
Wow. Well, now it wasn't my band. I mean, it was a group. If anybody was familiar with Dave Ball, sometimes known as Kim Ball.
Okay.
Kim, he has like 3 names.
Okay.
Last name Ball, and Keith. And the organist we had an organ player, which was amazing. That was the next. That told me that more than just Uncle Jimmy played organ. You know?
Okay, right there you go.
So,
Right.
Great. At the time, Jim Herring played organ and maybe Fender Rhodes, I guess. And Mark Harris played bass guitar.
Wow.
And that was my first band, man. You know, our first band. I learned a lot. I have a recording of me playing when I was 15, and we're playing like Santana's Mirage.
Yeah.
there's a blues, a rock blues.
Okay.
And Keith used to sing the hell out of it, man.
Wow.
And the first time I really was connected with somebody who could sing the blues, besides being in church, you know.
Amazing.
Yeah, yeah. And we played. I had a recording of us playing Pleasant, Billy Cobham. I was trying to get all my Billy Cobham.
Pleasant. That's deep.
Yeah.
Wow.
At 15, yes.
That's deep. Now, is that on a reel-to-reel or a cassette?
I got it on. I got it. It was on reel-to-reel, a Sears and Roebuck reel.
Sears and Roebuck. Wow.
Transferred to a cassette.
Okay.
Into my computer. Now it's in my computer.
Okay, now you know I have to hear that at some point, Mr.
Yeah.
you know I gotta check that out.
And luckily my mother, Uncle Jimmy bought me my first drum set when I was 12.
Wow.
I had a pretty nice drum set.
Yeah.
And everything. My mom later put down on some Zildjian cymbals at a drum shop, H Street Music in Philly. You know, had it on layaway for a couple of weeks.
God, mothers, eh?
Definitely.
Wow.
And then I, got a hold of some, I wanted more cymbals,
Yeah.
And I had these two old cymbals. One was like a hi-hat cymbal, so it was kind of like a bottom hi-hat cymbal.
Right.
But it had a crack in it, so I put another cymbal on top of it.
Oh, okay. Look it up.
Which is what they're doing today.
Yeah, by the way.
And you should hear the report like, man, is that Chris Day's cymbal or what?
Right? Yeah, right.
Really, man, like, is that Terry Young Gully's cymbal?
Right.
Like,
amazing.
so I got a little thing about cymbals, man.
And at that time, you mostly stayed in the suburbs, and did you at that point, at first, you played basketball, you were really serious about basketball, right? And that was your passion?
Tennis, and everything,
Like big athlete, more so than a drummer at that time.
Yes.
Wow.
But I was tall and skinny, and I had weak knees.
Oh.
So around the 9th grade, I had basketball tryouts, and like 9th or 10th grade, and I'm at tryouts, and my knees collapsed during tryouts.
Oh.
You're like, it's very strange too.
Yeah.
And it just made me think,
It's a lot. Yeah.
I was going to collapse now.
Yeah, once you build up, then what?
Yeah. So, but, I was already playing drums strongly, but as a hobby, I wanted to go into sports.
Wow.
I didn't know how,
Yeah.
I didn't know what direction.
So then that pretty much sets you, okay, it's about drums then.
Yep,
Right. So this is around what age, like 15, 16, 17?
15, yep.
Okay.
15, yep.
Wow. So then at that point, you just, wait a minute, I just remembered something. There's a story that I really want you to tell. You told me this some time ago before we move on.
Okay.
Your mother took you, when you were young, since we're in the early days, your mother took you to a club to see Uncle Jimmy.
Right.
You got to tell that story for us because it's just the best.
Yeah. Well, Uncle Jimmy would come over all the time. We'd also go over to his place in Norristown.
Okay.
Where we would play around with my cousins Jimmy Jr. and Gia.
Okay.
And Uncle Jimmy's first wife, my Aunt Joy. But he would come when he would come to our house. He would come in. He would kick the door open, like literally, and then put his foot on the roof, on the ceiling, up in the frame, because he's a black belt in karate.
So okay. Wow.
Yeah. So he was always,
come in and wrestling you, throwing you around.
Grab my mom, throw in a choke hole or something, Yeah. And then, like, if my dad would be playing the organ, and Uncle Jimmy would come over, oh my gosh.
Uh-oh.
Dad would get up a big
Just run away from the organ.
Like that, yeah. Maybe Uncle Jimmy, stand over show him something or,
Yeah.
But he got off the organ quick.
Real quick. Yeah.
And then so after a while, we realized that, from the records and stuff that Uncle Jimmy, is playing other places. So me and my sister got together and said, Mom, can we go see Uncle Jimmy? Maybe Uncle Jimmy was even there. Can we go see Uncle Jimmy? And Mom, in retrospect, she was a little hesitant, but
I don't know.
Okay, kids. Jimmy, what do you think? We'll put you on the guest list and have a safe seating for you.
Bullshit. Yeah.
Okay, so the next time Uncle Jimmy came to town, it was in, I believe it was Just Jazz, 2119 Arch Street in Center City, Philadelphia. Oh no, Center City, but definitely in the city. North Philly, Tennessee. And so we're there. I'm thinking I'm 8 and my sister's 7.
Okay.
Maybe I'm 9 and she's 8. So we're there. We get to, we're in the club. Place is packed. Totally full. We are in the middle of the club. My mom, my sister, and myself at the table. Biggest thing I noticed to that day before Uncle Jimmy came out was that there was a huge mirror on the stage behind the organ, so people could see the keys and the foot pedals.
Right.
Which I thought that was amazing.
Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
And so, the audience is getting restless, and we're around just adults everywhere. Me and my sister,
Yeah.
And Uncle Jimmy comes out, and right away people are yelling requests. Walk on the wild side, back in the chicken shack, Mojo. And people excited, jumping up. Uncle Jimmy says, "Shut the fuck up! Don't fucking tell me what to play."
This is off the stage.
Whatever the fuck I want to play, just sit your ass down and listen. You listen. Something to play. I think that is. He cussed the audience out.
Oh man! And how old are you? Like 8, 9?
Mom's like,
The children. There are children here.
Got to put us under the table.
Yeah.
And of course, the audience was quiet as a mouse.
Of course. That was.
Jimmy began playing. And Can't Lose with the Blues, and at the end of the song, everybody, it was like nothing ever happened.
Wow, he was just killing it.
So yeah, that was it.
Killing it. That's such an amazing story. And you're just like, this is your introduction to musicians in a club.
Yeah, that was it. That was it.
Amazing, absolutely amazing.
That didn't really stick with me too long. Like, how can you forget that?
Yeah, really.
That really didn't stick. I mean, of course, I remember the experience and everything, but it really didn't stick. Maybe because maybe I heard him cuss a little, slip up or something at home, around home.
Right.
I don't know, but
that's amazing.
The mirror behind the organ, that really grabbed me. I was like, wow.
Interesting. The environment. Yeah.
Absolutely.
You went to Berklee in the mid-'70s, right?
Yeah.
And
75.
All right, 75. And you majored in instrumental performance, correct?
Yeah.
Right. So who were some of your teachers, your drum teachers at that point?
One of them, my first drum teacher, just coincidentally, just called me last night.
Wow. Isn't that something?
Yeah, just what's that? His name is Dennis Carlson.
Okay.
And I believe, in retrospect, he was your basic drummer. I mean, you know, he wasn't a Gary Chakey, Bob Wagner.
Right.
Keith Copeland.
This is somewhat around your neighborhood.
No.
Or at Berklee.
Teacher at Berklee.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, my first teacher at Berklee.
Okay.
I went to a person that I grew up with. Him and his mother, my mother, were best friends. He lived across the street. He was also a drummer. So he was a big influence. He was 3 years older than me. Everything he did, I wanted to do.
Gotcha.
He said he wanted to be an airplane pilot. I wanted to be.
You'd have been an airplane pilot now.
If he was practicing paradiddles across the street, I was practicing paradiddles.
Okay.
So he went to Berklee. Curtis Warner.
Curtis Warner. Oh, okay.
Yeah. He eventually. He wasn't a teacher, but he eventually. He started a program called City Music, which
fantastic,
underprivileged and
that's great.
He started that whole system, and he was the assistant to the president of the school. So,
okay.
And he just retired like 2 years ago.
Oh, that's remarkable.
Yeah. So my point to that is that one summer while I was still in high school, maybe my 11th grade. Mm-hmm. I went up to Boston to visit Curtis and see Berklee. So I went to Boston and visited Berklee when I was in the 11th grade.
Amazing.
Yup. Went to Wally's and sat in.
Yeah,
man.
Oh, okay. So did that that was like, okay, this is what I'm gonna do. At that point, or not quite?
Yeah. I knew I was gonna play. I didn't know if I was gonna go to Berklee because we were poor, man. We didn't have the money. Mm-hmm. My mom put the house up, as collateral and borrowed from the bank and
she was determined.
That kind of thing. And then I was able to get in on Uncle Jimmy's name. Gary Burton auditioned me, by the way. I had no idea at the time
who he was. Just some guy.
Yeah, Burton's playing piano. Come in, play some twang, trade chords, play some funk, play bossa nova, play solo over the forum.
Wow.
Yeah, he auditioned me. Later, I'm playing with him.
I know, that's amazing. Wow.
I was with him when he came out, more or less.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I remember you told me about that.
Yeah. He is a great friend, man.
That's beautiful.
Wonderful person. We know he's a great musician. Wonderful person.
Yeah.
So one of my first classes at Berklee was listening and analysis.
Okay.
And so, my first year at Berklee, and the teacher says, boys and girls, we're going to analyze 3 musicians. Somebody like Count Basie, maybe Stan Getz, maybe, and Jimmy Smith.
Okay.
And Jimmy Smith, Old Man River.
Okay, cool. You got it. All right.
Which I never, Anyway, so when, analyzing, and then Uncle Jimmy's record comes on, and we're all listening. As soon as the 2 notes,
Wait a minute. That's my uncle.
That's Uncle Jimmy. Now, I don't know who you think it is, but do you know him? Do you know Uncle Jimmy? I'm thinking this is my start. Do you know Uncle Jimmy too?
Like you just happen to know him?
Yeah. And the teacher, Connolly, he let me know that
he's a big deal.
Yep, man.
He's a real big deal.
I was in tears. I was crying, and I left the class and called Uncle Jimmy from a payphone. Crying, saying, "Jimmy, I didn't know that you."
Mess you up.
That was a shocker.
That's massive, though. I mean, you knew he did some things. You knew that he was out there, but not Jimmy Smith.
I knew he could cuss the audience out.
He could cuss the audience, right?
You know? Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So at Berklee too, you had some other drum teachers as well, right?
Yes. Some good ones. Ed Caspick was Bob Wagner, Ed Caspick. Mm-hmm. That's when we really started to roll. And I was, I hit the ground running, man. All the other classmates, drummers that were in school at that time, Vinny, Steve Smith, Kenwood Denard, it was just
massive. Wow.
That's like, man,
everyone's killing.
Everybody's killing, outside and inside the classroom. Take your pick. Yeah. But I had Bob Wagner and Gary Chafee, heavily influenced by David Garibaldi, Tower of Power. Wow. I would be at their door sometimes listening,
and they'd be checking it out.
They would be having a powwow together, in the office after hours.
Right, after hours.
I'm telling you, and I would
long after hours.
Tower of Power, man. Open stroke and
all that.
They knew all of that. Just practicing it.
Yeah.
Analyzing it, and a lot of Gary Chafee's patterns books.
Oh, they come out of that.
Oh, definitely.
Fascinating.
Along with,
his own stuff. Yeah.
That Gary Chafee had.
Yeah. So that was the beginning of him putting that together.
I believe so. I was right there. Patterns book 1 was.
Right.
Yeah. Patterns, of course.
Yeah, I remember Patterns, yeah.
Book of Patterns or Patterns book 1, probably Patterns.
Right.
Book 1.
Right.
Book 2, 3, 4.
Right.
And so, they heavily influenced. And I can relate to that, the Tower of Power, So
because you got that, because it was out. That's amazing.
Vaccination,
Right.
So, I can relate, and that was really cool. Gary was one of my last teachers. In the middle, I had Keith Copeland.
Okay, right.
Ray Copeland's son.
Right.
Did you know Ray Copeland?
Yeah.
Ray. So that was very, very great. And he was a brother, and so he
can really connect. Yeah.
And he was serious, and he was a disciple of Alan Dawson, like everybody.
Right, but you never studied. Did you study with Alan Dawson at all, or?
I only roadied for Alan Dawson like 4 or 5 times.
Okay. So like you were around him.
I was around him.
Yeah.
And if you lived in Boston, you were a drummer.
You're gonna be around him.
No escape from Alan Dawson, unless you were, even if you were playing rock or metal.
Yeah.
No escape.
No escape.
Everybody studied with or
some in the vicinity of.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So you got that information.
Yeah. And when you're young, you're a sponge, and
yeah.
So I was doing Alan Dawson stuff before I even got to Berklee.
From Curtis.
My childhood friend,
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
so
he come home. He taught me the triplets around the drums. He taught me that. I was doing that in 11th grade. Trying to figure that out. Yeah.
Incidentally, I'll be doing a little lesson on this, ladies and gentlemen. So don't.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So I'll hip you to what Tommy's talking about. Okay.
Have at it.
Have at it.
If you go past 100.
Yeah. I remember when I met you. You were like, well, yeah, you want to try to get up to about like 120. And then you showed me 120, and I was like, oh.
Yeah.
Whew, that you'd be sweating after that. You'd be like,
yeah, man.
Yeah, man. So
there's one thing I know is that.
Yeah. So other than that, what are there any other technical things you worked on exclusively during those periods, during that period, that you feel sort of changed you from, being just like a really good drummer to feeling much stronger? Was it during that period, or was it just a gradual improvement along the way?
It was really gradual. I had my moments, peak valleys. After at Berklee, it was the Berklee system, man. Got to give it up. It was good. Berklee was a really good school. Mm-hmm. I had no problem with saying that. I learned so much there, and the system. Of course, it was more of a jazz school than
Yeah.
Now, man, you probably have to dig deep, though.
So
where's the jazz department?
Right. I'm not sure.
Building.
They'd be like, I'm not sure.
Yeah. No, of course, go to John Ramsey, Ralph Peterson's room.
Right.
It's there, but influences, of course, you had Tony Williams, Billy Cobham, of course, Steve Gadd, of course, Harvey Mason, of course, but for me, Buddy Richmond, that's the boy.
Right.
Boy, did he set the bar. Woo!
Man.
You couldn't see Papa Joe on TV so easily.
Right.
TV,
Right.
If you live in the suburbs, it'd be one thing if you live in downtown Detroit,
Mm-hmm.
But But Buddy Rich was,
all over.
In my generation, you could turn the TV on and see him on the Johnny Carson show.
Yeah, we all grew up like that. Yeah.
Yes. So he goes without saying. And still to this day, he's, just to be kind, he's definitely in my top 5 favorite.
Absolutely.
Most influential favorite, call it what you will.
I was checking him out this morning.
A lot of people just say, "Oh yeah, Buddy Rich." Buddy Rich. Yeah,
I was checking him this morning. That left hand. Come on.
Take your pick. Left hand, right hand. Take your pick.
It's notorious. It's just like it's notorious.
The story of him putting a quarter on the wall and holding a single stroke roll, and keeping a quarter on the wall. Today, of course, a lot of people say, "Well, what kind of music is that?"
Well, check it out. Check him out.
Quarter on the wall. So, but we know, Aubrey, that it's a combination.
Of course.
You got some good technique now. Can you put some music to it, or vice versa?
Buddy
you're
can do
natural.
Yeah.
You're natural, and you got just music and melodies and harmonies just flying out of you. Mm-hmm. But you got any technique? Because sooner or later,
it's going to catch up with
you. You're going to run into somebody who's got both, or you're going to just run into a situation where you need both.
Yeah.
So he goes without saying. But I got into the flams, from Billy Cobham, and the paradiddle from him, and then my roommate and one of my best friends, was Kevin Eubanks. He came up a year after me. He was a year behind me.
You lived with him, that's right?
Yeah. So we had a group. He introduced me to the Mclaughlin Orchestra,
and that was.
I knew Billy Cobham from his first Spectrum and Crosswinds and Totally Clips. I didn't know about the Mclaughlin Orchestra until Kevin. So and right away, we started jamming, and playing Mclaughlin too, and listening to. And one thing led to another. We had a band, and we loved punk and Cool in the Gang, so we got mixed it, and Kevin wrote some great stuff, music. Yeah. And off we went. We got a gig at this place called Pooh's Pub in Campbell Square. We approached the club owner. We said we have a band, we think. And, what's the name of the band? Oh, name. We didn't
We need a name, right?
We were too busy playing in 11, 8, and 7.
We didn't too big to think of a name.
Let's call it 13. And Campbell was like, that's not going to make me any money, but let's call it, what's your name again? Tommy Campbell? Okay, let's call it Tommy Campbell. Tommy Campbell Band, TCB.
Okay.
Taking care of business.
Right.
Okay.
Off you go.
Yep, off you go. You know, your first gig's Friday. We'll pay you $25. How's that?
So, after Berklee, this is remarkable. You got the gig with Dizzy Gillespie. Tell me about getting that gig. That's amazing.
Okay, my last semester, my 8th semester, I'm ready. You know, it's about 3 months, 3 or maybe 3 or 3 months before it's time for me to graduate and get my diploma in instrumental performance.
Right.
I came here to learn how to play, man. I really didn't care about the paper to this day. Don't tell anybody you have that. All of you have a bachelor's degree and what have you.
Fantastic, yes, fantastic.
What's respect? But so about 3 months before I'm supposed to graduate, the administration office called me up suddenly, and you know, for a meeting, and they told me that, Tommy, we're so sorry, but we just realized that you are going to be 6 or 7 credits short.
Whoa!
You can't graduate.
What?
I was so shocked, man. Like, what?
And you're on, oh my God. That is brutal. And you assume at this point you're going to graduate. At this point you assumed, yeah, I'm going to graduate soon, and wow. Oh,
at this point, I'm wondering, what am I going to do after I graduate? You know, stay in Boston, play with the many bands like Tigers Baku and Randy Roos and Stan Strickland and Sundance. You know, just do the Boston thing. I guess which I really wasn't like. Boston was it was good. It was good. Better than Philly. For me, because the gang wars in Philly, that's what scared me from being in Philadelphia. Wow. Gang wars, man. Wow. And being a musician, you so far away, you're pretty far away from race stuff.
All that. Yeah,
stuff, you know what I mean?
Right.
I barely knew that Boston was a racist town.
Right, because you were in the music. You were in that little pocket.
Yeah, I probably had one incident where, whoa.
Right.
I'm very lucky, man. And I'm naive, too. Things go right over my head.
Right.
So they say, you're going to have to come back. You know, we'll talk to your mom. We'll get her to borrow more money from us. And we'll set you up, you know, with the financial aid. Don't worry. We're going to make some more money off
of you.
Yeah. Man, I was so stunned. Oh. And I'm walking home from school going, man, I cannot call mom tonight. She won't get, if I call her tonight, she won't be able to sleep.
Yeah. Oh.
So I waited. I said, I'll call her the next day. I'll call her tomorrow.
Right.
As I'm still shocked, you know. And the next day, I wake up to a phone call. Hello, hi, Tommy, this is Dizzy Gillespie.
You're like, right.
You know, you're like,
yeah, sure.
Okay, yeah, yes. You know, you never want to say, yeah, right, motherfucker.
But that's how you feel.
You never want to do that, you know. Okay, yes. Tommy, yeah, you know, I'd like you to come with me to South America. with my band. We're going to do a tour with Mental Plus 12.
What? What? Like, wow. And then you could recognize the voice, and you knew it was him.
Because in my second year at Berklee, Mickey Roker got me to sit in with this.
Oh, that's right. Mickey Roker used to play with Uncle Jimmy, right?
No, Mickey Roker did a couple of club dates with my dad.
With your dad. That's
A couple
right.
of hotel hits, yeah.
So that's another connection.
Yeah. Mickey Roker, absolutely, man.
Wow.
And his children, Ronald and Deborah, were the same age as me. Ronald 1 year older than Deborah. So we went to school together. You know,
Okay.
Yeah. So I knew Mickey from that. And
Amazing.
I guess he kind of had a little eye on me, you know.
Yeah. Must have heard you and said, okay.
Yeah. And so I sat in, you know, Mickey came to Boston in my second year, and maybe in between my second and third year kind of thing. And he told me that he was in town, and come by, I want you to sit in. At that time, they were doing 3 sets, and Aubrey, you know,
Yeah, that
3
was a
sets
different
of
world.
hard hitting. So, you know,
Yeah.
and it's a regular gig, you know, you play all over the world, you know.
Yeah.
3 sets, you know, and you've been playing with Dizzy for like almost 10 years.
Right.
They were Dizzy for 10 years. And so it's like, I don't know, you know, I'm the same way. I love giving people a chance, you know. And sometimes you stick your neck out a little bit, you know.
Yeah.
So we did, and so, you know, I'm like doing a quick crash course, and Dizzy Gillespie, you know, Salt Peanuts, Gonalma, Birch Works, you know, you know, I'm trying to
Get all that happening.
Yeah, I thought I would check my one or two brush strokes that I use on balance.
Right.
I go there that night, the third set, you know, I watch first and second set. And now, you know, in third set, Dizzy, Mickey had me come right up, you know, told Dizzy, you know, had me come right up right at the beginning of the set. Okay, here we go. You know, I got my brushes ready. Man, we go in the Cool in the Gang, Jungle Boogie, Bunny Miles. We went from that to changes.
All the stuff you knew.
Like James Brown stuff. We didn't play none of lick of jazz, man. What? You know, I'm like, okay, that's funny. You know, it's kind of like a joke. You know.
Yeah, you figured right. And you kept going.
Yeah, they were, you know, in retrospect, you know, they were kind of done. You know, they played 2 sets.
Yeah, they already threw down, right?
Robbie Jones and Ben Brown. All of these,
Wow.
So we played like Down by the River, Buddy Miles. Yeah.
Wow. That's
that was
great.
my first experience with Dizzy.
So you were comfortable. Comfortable.
After that set, he asked me to come to his dressing room. He hung out. He said, "So what are you doing up here? You know, what are you doing? I'm in Berklee." He said, "Oh, really?" He said, "When do you graduate?" I said, "Well, I didn't even think about that at that time. 2 years from now, I should graduate." And in between that time, Dizzy came up to Boston and came to a gig of me and Kevin's. Me Campbell band, taking care of business.
Right.
And Dizzy came up with a friend of his, drove up from New York, and listened to our fusion band. You know,
But there you go. So he knew you could play.
He stayed for both sets. We were like, what?
Wow.
Did Dizzy leave? You know, at the beginning of the second set, did Dizzy leave? No, he's right there. So stayed for both sets.
He hung out and everything. That's amazing. Wow.
So, with that said, I believe the main reason that Dizzy hired me, and Sonny Rollins, by the way, hired me, because I could play folk. I was okay playing jazz. And to the real jazz cats, Kenny Washington, Lewis Nash, Al
Yeah. They're like, what?
Yeah, he ain't. I mean, he plays jazz, but you know.
Yeah, like what?
Yeah.
What did he get?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when I joined the band, man, we were playing a lot of funk. We had to play the Salt Peanuts going down my Brooks work, you know.
Sure.
You know, and boy, I was getting a crash course. You know, there wasn't no rehearsal. You know, okay. You know, like boom.
On stage.
Yeah, man.
Essentially.
And Jerry's coaching me, and you know, Dizzy's giving me all these rhythms with Dizzy slaps, you know, and you know, it was on the fly training like a bow.
He's Dizzy's. One thing about you when you perform, and we'll get to this a little later as well, but you said that he really taught you about humor in music. You know, being able to balance keeping it entertaining with very serious playing, and it's a seamless transition from back and forth, because you know Dizzy, he'd be playing the deepest thing, meanwhile you know he's grooving or dancing or joking or something, and that is
the audience, funny faces, pretending to be dizzy, you know.
Right, being dizzy.
He would always tell us, you know, I might be dizzy, but I ain't stupid.
There you go.
That was just it.
But would you say that was a big influence on you regarding that?
Absolutely. First of all, being the nephew of Jimmy Smith, I mean, I can't tell you how much blues I heard, you know. In Uncle Jimmy's heyday, or the height of his career, with Herb, you know, on a famous, coming from a fame aspect.
Right.
A lot of his repertoire was the blues, 12-bar blues. So, we had different hits. And when I got with Dizzy, I learned more about the blues than I did my whole life.
Even with the whole Jimmy experience. Interesting.
Dizzy would sing the blues with you know, with a typical musician voice, you know, I'm a trumpet player singing, you know.
Right.
But because he played with all of the great vocalists, he played with everybody. All you know, Billy Eckstein, Joe Williams, Ella, Nancy, you know, Carmen, they all knew, you know.
Right.
Berta Flack was like Dizzy's little sister, you know.
Wow. Yeah.
They would always play cards and stuff. And so Dizzy, he would sing the blues, and his voice would be comical, but his phrasing would be incredibly on.
Right.
Borrowing from different vocalists, Billy Eckstein.
Wow. Yeah.
Phrase would be like, you know, that laid back stuff and on it. And I learned so much. And from playing with Ed Cherry, you know, playing with a guitar player who plays melodies, counter melodies, background, chords, you know, substitute changes, you know, different directions and all of that.
Yeah, like ear training, right?
Yeah.
So
I learned how to play the blues.
Amazing.
I had the ear for blues, you know.
From before, the foundation, right? Yeah.
But Dizzy, boy. And he was an incredibly high level musician, very intellectual. He could sit down and play all of most songs, you know, not songs, but voicings.
He had it, yeah. I would say that he was among those who invented that music, you know, during the 1940s.
Yeah, well, the first song that had a real bass line was Night Intimation.
Right, there you go. Yeah, because So What was in the 50s, late 50s.
Oh, yeah, but that was just a head.
That was a head, that's right. No, you're right.
Hold it.
Oh, what about Jack the Bear?
Well. So what? The bass is the melody.
That's right. It is the melody. It's not even a line. That's what's
Yeah,
different.
it's not a line. Yeah.
But wasn't Jack the Bear in Ellington's band? But that also was more of a solo, I think. No, I think you're right. I think you're right with Night in Tunisia. I'm pretty sure you're right.
Yeah.
For all the musicologists out there, be kind. Please. Please be kind. We do our very best here.
Man, music is so deep and so many twists and turns and, things thrown in.
Yeah. So, what other traveling lessons? Because he moved around the planet a lot, Dizzy. What did you learn from handling yourself on the road? You were very young. You had just started.
Luckily, to stay I was constantly had to learn music, and the vibe and the history of music. So I was doing a lot of practicing in my spare time, but I always carried a basketball in a pump.
Okay.
There was a court around. We'd at the top hotel or whatnot, or whatever hotel, and I'd ask the concierge, where's the basketball court? They look on the map.
Find the court.
Yeah. Find the court, play for an hour.
Yeah.
Come back. Go to sound check, what have you.
Oh, so that kept you in shape. That kept you moving. Yeah.
Just briefly, when Dizzy asked me to join the band, first of all, he said, you're going to need a passport. So, flying into New York from Boston, come meet me at the passport agency in New York. We both meet at the passport agency in New York. We walk through the door, I'm behind Dizzy, and right away, half the staff is going, Dizzy! Hey! People coming over, handshakes, hugs, short conversation. And then, in the midst of all that, Dizzy says, hey, look, by the way, I got a new drummer. He doesn't have a passport, and we're going to South America next week. So he needs a passport. Okay, son, come on over here, come right here, right this way. Boom, bang, signature, photo, stamp, boom, 30 minutes,
just
I'm out the door.
Like front of the line.
Having passport in hand, with an extension in it.
Just in case.
Just so, because we know how Disney travels.
Amazing. He had it all locked down.
Yeah, yeah, man. So, first tours in Brazil, and it's with Hermeto Pascoal. We fly to Hermeto Pascoal. Dizzy Gillespie, 4. And first, as soon as we got to the first concert hall, Hermeto's band just rushed us, bum rushed us.
Yeah.
Hey man, here, take this.
And you're like, oh,
take this spinning bow. This looks like a bow and arrow.
You're like,
no, man, here, play this rhythm, try this, go, man.
Oh my God. Just like, bam.
With love, too. I mean, they just,
Yeah.
Look at this, walk here, look at that girl, see this, the whole deal. It's just crazy. Amazing. And what an experience. And, of course, her mentor. And, we do the first concert. We're staying in one of the best areas in Rio. We're at one of the best hotels. We spend the night, probably up all night, or close to it, I'm just excited,
Yeah.
Brazil for the first time and stuff.
Amazing.
79. And then, so we're waiting, our road manager was Alirio Lima, who spent time in Boston, by the way, and was the percussionist for Weather Report, Alirio Lima. He was the promoter, I mean, what do I know, He was a promoter. He collected the money for the concert. And, when you go on tour, usually the first concert of a tour, you get your you're advanced. Everybody, starting with the leader, you get paid from the concert, and then the promoter pays the leader, and the leader gives you a draw. So, you got float money.
Of course, yeah.
We call float money. I don't know what they were calling that, with the way money is.
Yeah.
When we traveled back then, we would travel to Germany, France, Switzerland, whatnot, and anywhere else. And we would love to get the currency of the country, say, wow, French, France, wow, German marks,
I remember that, yeah.
But if we ever ran out of marks or francs, and we were in the middle of shopping, we didn't have to go to the currency exchange. We just say, do you take dollars? Are you kidding? Of course.
Of course, yeah.
Please.
Yeah.
Our money.
Right.
Boy, is that ship sails.
Oh.
Try that now. Dollars? Are you kidding? Anyway, so the next day we got a lobby call, 7 a.m., 8 a.m., something like that.
Right.
We're waiting in the lobby. We're all packed, ready to go to the next city, and we're waiting for Illyrio. Me, Michael Howe, Dizzy, and Ed Cherry, we're waiting for Illyrio to come, pay the hotel, and give Dizzy advance and tell us where to go, We're waiting, it's 8 in the morning, at 9, still no Illyrio, 10, 12, still no Illyrio. We're kind of roaming out, roaming outside the hotel, looking around, but staying close,
Right.
And we're late, so going back. Now it's fine, it's 5 in the afternoon, it's 5 in the evening now, and still no Illyrio.
Okay.
The evening paper comes to the hotel, in a book,
5 o'clock. Yeah.
And Illyrio is on the front cover, like this, being carried away by the police. What?
You're like, wait.
George, he squandered the money that was given to him the night before.
He couldn't help himself.
Which is easy to do in Brazil, by the way.
No, I hear you.
Because I have some later stories.
Yeah, okay, it's another story. Another interview.
Yeah. So, come to find out that he messed up the money, and he went to a jewelry store and tried to swallow some diamonds. Steal a diamond so he could sell them and come back to the hotel with money.
Oh.
So
rough.
The tour was canceled.
And that was that.
Now everybody in my hometown, meanwhile, are like, hometown and beyond, like, hey, Gio, Tommy got the big gig,
Yeah.
We got a big gig with some jazz guy.
Louis Armstrong.
Or Duke Ellington, somebody like that.
Yeah.
Of course, my mom, close family, My mom's all excited, telling her friends and girlfriends at work and stuff.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I'm back in 3 days, and my mom's like, what happened? And that was, I'll never forget that. And also, I'm thinking, of course, on the flight back, I'm like, man, so this is the big time?
This is what it's like?
Yeah.
Right. Like, really? I thought it was going to be easy. Man.
Of course, like, being Dizzy Gillespie, he quickly got a couple of gigs.
Yeah, it's all good, yeah. He probably didn't even notice that. I mean, he noticed it, but not a big deal.
I barely noticed it. If it wasn't for going across the border.
Right. It was like, whatever. Because you're probably working within a week, right?
Within a week, man. Yeah. Easily, yeah. Within a week, we were big.
Hitting somewhere. So there's an interesting thing that happened right after the Dizzy gig. You started playing with John Mclaughlin.
Right.
Now, was it at the same time, pretty much? That's crazy. So that was going into the Belo Horizonte era, right?
Belo Horizonte. John asked me to come to Paris, and he had a flat for me to stay at.
Wow.
And so I worked on this music with John, learning his music for the recording. And Dizzy called me and said, "Tommy, we're playing in Paris." I'm in Paris.
Oh, wow.
So I'm playing with John today in the studio, recording.
Amazing.
With Dizzy cymbals, by the way.
What?
If you played in Dizzy's band, you played his cymbals. You didn't play his cymbals.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so that's another.
So wait, he went and got cymbals, or what? How did that work?
He had an endorsement with Zildjian. He would go to Dizzy's factory, and when I became his drummer, I went with him, and they gave him a couple of sets of cymbals, and then they hooked me up with it.
Like right away, like boom, automatic.
Yeah, signed the contract and whatnot.
Amazing.
I was in the endorsement with Zildjian. But I pick out some cymbals that I would like maybe use with Kevin and bands because when I'm playing with Dizzy, I'm playing his cymbals. So I didn't have to I didn't have to get the same cymbals.
Right.
Yeah, because I'm playing his cymbals.
Right.
So Dizzy had kind of like a 22-inch ride, standard. I don't know if it was a K or an A. It might have been an A.
Uh-huh.
But he also, it did some like 14-inch hi-hats and crash cymbal. And then, but his favorite cymbal was a 26-inch swish knocker.
Okay, yeah.
It wasn't even made by Zildjian, actually. But they had all kinds of curves, a rear bell and some curvature, 26 inches. Killing cymbal, man.
Wow.
All of them. All Dizzy cymbals were great.
Amazing.
This one's special. And the thing about it is that if you play with Dizzy, he wanted you to play that cymbal, the switch knocker, no matter what. On his solo, go to the switch knocker. Maybe on the B section you could change or an interlude or something, but for his cymbals, switch knocker.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so
you use those on Belo Horizonte then?
Yeah, I use it. Those are Dizzy Leslie cymbals and Belo Horizonte. Yeah.
Soon after John McLaughlin's gig, did you start playing Sonny Rollins soon after or much later?
1981 with Sonny. I know this. I have a cassette. Yeah, a lot of stuff overlaps.
So that was a very active period for you. Exciting. Wow.
Yeah, you know how it is when you look back.
Yeah, it's like it rains and pours. Yeah.
When you look back, you go, man.
Yeah, I know.
You mean you were making $500 a gig?
Yeah.
Where's the money now?
What happened?
What happened?
Hallelujah. Oh my goodness.
You mean that girl like you? She put your cymbals away, right? Don't you, right?
Yeah.
And she carried the cymbals to the taxi and asked could she be dropped off. That was a hint.
That was a hint. Oh, it's funny. So with Sonny, so like in the fire once again, what was the major learning curve, or I guess you would say learning curve, or just what did you learn the most out of that experience with Sonny Rollins? I would say
that's a very, very easy one. Besides just talking and I can write this,
right, yeah.
Sonny Rollins,
yeah.
Number one, easy was listening. He gave me that listening experience. Woo! Of course, playing marathon solos.
I know.
Playing chords like don't be Sonny's drummer or any person in the band and be in your hometown and let's say you're in Canada, Aubrey, I'm here, you what? Oh, really? Okay. You have some fans here tonight? Okay. Let's boy, and woo! Boy, if you didn't bring a whole extra set of clothing that day, yeah, you talk about sweating, man.
Man, you have to throw down, huh? At home.
Oh man, oh he loved that. Like that. So he loved to go to different. Everywhere he went, you know, he would go early, get the vibe of the place. Everywhere, get the vibe of the place, and you always hear influences of the place in its music. Oh, he loved to quote it. Oh, crazy.
Wow.
So that he loved the old songs, of course. He always pulling out old songs that we never heard of. And but we didn't get to the biggest thing, which was I played with Sonny a total of 20 years. My first year with him, you know, some years more than others.
Right.
I say, you know, 10 out of those 20 years, I was his main drummer. To give you a ballpark.
Right.
And so in the beginning, of course, playing with him all the time, and except when the record companies, which I was cool in the beginning, really, you know, like I'm in the band, but now Sonny's about to fly to California to do a record, and
a different band.
You know,
Yeah.
You know, in the beginning, I was, if he was there, come on, I'd have been shaking in my boots. So.
Yeah.
But the record companies would get either Jack Eastman or Tony Williams.
Right.
But that period, when Jack Eastman was recording with Tony, that's when I was in the band.
Okay.
Basically, Al Foster too. But so during my first year, I was always looking for feedback from Sonny. You know, I would come to him after the gig, maybe go to the dressing room. Sonny, was that third tune? Was that okay? You know, I could. You know, was it too loud? Was it too heavy? Too light? You know, was it too much Latin flavor? Or you know,
like give me something, right?
I could do a two-feel. You know, I'm saying I could do a two-feel, but in my mind I'm going, I had that one two-feel that might work. You know,
that might work.
You know, you say, I don't know, but well, I got it. You know, we can do a two-feel. You know, in your mind you're like, man,
B
that one
two-feel.
two-feel better work, or I'm in trouble. So, but he would never give me any feedback. Fanshawe would give me some feedback, you know, when I asked him.
Right.
I thought it was so cool, man. You know, they're like, you wouldn't be here if you wasn't supposed to be here. So be here. Shut up.
Yeah, right. Yeah, be here.
I'm like, what, you know, you know, is this right?
Yeah, right.
And that went on for a year. And a year later, I found myself on stage in the midst of a song, not feeling like they haven't said anything, but I really don't feel like this is working.
Yeah.
Just then, Sonny Rollins, he comes back soloing to me and starts playing in my face and starts quoting songs back to back, like about 20 to 30, maybe even 40 songs that I happen to know the lyrics to. All the lyrics. So he told me what was his favorite color, when he was born, where he's from, where we're going tomorrow, what he had for breakfast yesterday, his first girlfriend, his last girlfriend, you know, his first car, you know, his best friend growing up, his best friend now, you know.
Crazy.
Just like words were coming out of order.
Wow.
And, it knocked me out, man. And after all that weight, you know.
What's also deep is that you knew the lyrics.
He also said, you know why we're not playing that other song that you were wondering why we're not playing? This is why. Yeah. If you were playing something well, or the way he liked, you just never heard from it again. It was just
be gone.
Like Shawshank Redemption. a fart in the wind.
But what's deep also is that you knew the lyrics well enough to understand the quotes. That's another story right there.
Yeah. Absolutely, big story.
Yeah.
A few things off the top. I did learn at Berklee from one of my teachers, one of my great teachers. You know, if you don't know a song until you know the lyrics.
Because that's the song.
We know this, but we didn't know when we were 21, 22, 18,
right.
Maybe even 30,
Yeah.
You can be fooled, but man, so I got that from listening to music with my mom. My mom, by the way, who was a courthouse clerk, notary public, artist, career teacher.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah, she was one of the few what do you call them? Career women, black career women.
My mom was like that too. There's not many with this hue.
And here we are.
And here we are. I know. God bless them, working their behinds off.
Yeah, working like
amazing.
My mom, I could be practicing in the living room and she could be on the couch and just fall asleep.
Golden parents, right? Oh, I know.
Man.
Not a peep.
Let my children, let my son do that. Get off them drums.
What are you doing?
Go to the studio or something. It's on your iPhone. The practice app.
Right. You see what time it is?
So listen to a lot. My mom used to imitate Sarah Vaughan, which I didn't know, just kind of like Uncle Jimmy.
Right.
That was mom singing.
Right.
He would just be around the house.
Right.
He didn't consider himself a singer, but he was in theater, all kinds of stuff. Yeah. But she would sing while she was cleaning or going, walking, right? And when I got to Berklee, I heard my mom on record.
The same thing again.
Oh, what?
That's my mother.
Just some shades of.
Yeah.
That man, I heard that before.
Right. Oh no.
So and then of course she took us to see The Sound of Music, like I told you.
Right.
That's a big impression of it on me. So train of thought.
No, that's it.
I forgot what the point was, Sonny.
We were the lyrics in a song.
Oh, lyrics in a song. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Trust me, I know that feeling. By the way, you're not alone.
Yeah.
Lyrics in a song, and that she must have influenced that in you to dig into the lyrics.
Yup. But after I got with Dizzy, so many things.
Yeah.
Because with Dizzy, just about everybody played with him, and we traveled all over the world. So wherever we played, there was some alumni of Dizzy Gillespie. I mean, when I was in the band, Dizzy got Ignacio Barola in the country, not just in the band. That's another story.
Right.
But, he was there when Gonzalo Rubalcaba came in. The first one I met was Paquito, the Riviera.
Sure. Yeah.
So Paquito came basically right from Cuba, came right to the bandstand. Dizzy, come on in, playing. So I played a lot with Paquito.
Oh man.
I played with a lot of cats. And met a lot of the different generations. The older generations, Papa Joe, Harry Sweets, Joe Newman, Major Holly, Clam Stewart,
incredible,
Benny Carter, Milt Jackson. I met
phenomenal.
I met all the cast, man. Yeah. Trumpet players. I played. John Faddis was like a Dizzy Gillespie disciple, and I'm putting that motto.
Yeah.
No Dizzy, no Faddis. But So I played a lot with John Pettis, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
So I learned a lot from those guys too. You know?
Yeah, amazing. Thanks for watching my video. I'm really glad you did that. Subscribe and click here if you want more performance and lesson videos.